to go live.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, this is TGD Today. And now please welcome Hero III,
HR3,
Al Cloyd,
Dr. Grind,
George Honeycutt,
The Godfather.
And welcome everybody back to TGD Today. It's Tech Talk with Dr. Grind, Mr. Al Cloyd. How are you, Doc?
Doing good, doing good. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. And of course, we got he who must be obeyed, HR3 here.
That's right.
So, would you get in a better mood, dude?
Where does that come from?
You can't beat it with a stick.
Dude, it's
club
cold
pole.
outside. I'm on Coumadin, and it ain't real good with me, okay?
Well, I'm there with you, dude.
I don't like cold weather.
Okay.
That's
all
why
right. We're
I
not
live
supposed to
in-
mention the weather.
I understand, but I'm
Okay.
sorry, Jeff. I'm just tired of being cold.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Sorry, Jeff.
I'm tired of being cold. I'm just going to whine.
And if you're listening to this show in June, it was recorded in February.
Yeah, okay.
It's my birthday, so
Well,
that's
see,
why
I
I'm in a
wasn't going to
bad
go
mood.
there, but you did it. So,
Well, I apologize. I should, but I mean,
guys,
good Lord.
guys, think of it this way, okay? We just had Mr. Billy Mack sing "Augusta on My Mind." We're 48 days away.
That's right.
Dude, you got
48
to
days.
get a life.
Okay. sorry.
48 days. You counting the days?
Oh,
I
yeah.
got the days, too.
Seriously?
Yes, sir. 48 days away.
No wonder you can't break 90.
He's probably got a ticker set up at the house.
I'll tell you
with
what,
the minutes just
give me
clicking.
22 and let's go. Come on.
All right, let's talk about this stuff with
Hey, what? Hey,
Rufus over here.
You told me a little bit yesterday that's what you want to talk about, and I came up with kind of a subject title, shaft loading. How
Yeah,
about that?
There you go.
Is that good?
Hey, we can call it whatever you want to call it.
Load your shaft.
Loading your shaft.
Uh-huh.
When in doubt, load it out. I
Hugh
like
takes vitamins for that, or little blue things. But
No, that's you. You're the one that's old, not me.
okay, all right, gotcha. Talk to us,
Okay.
baby.
Well, basically, you know, a lot of guys are, what they'll do is they tend to investigate. You know, they'll pick up like a Golf Works or a Golfsmith book. And basically what I'd like to do is give the knowledge to them so they know what they're reading in the book.
And there's 300 different shafts.
There is
in
there's-
these books.
Yeah, 300 plus. You know, I mean, it's just there's so many shaft manufacturers out there now. It's just nuts, absolutely nuts.
So what are we? Are you going to talk about graphite shafts? You're
Yeah.
going to talk
Well,
about
first-
shafts in general?
Yeah, all this applies to shafts in general.
Okay,
you know,
all right.
but right now we're going to kind of hone in on just graphite shafts, specifically driver shafts.
Okay, all right.
You know, just to let everybody know, when you're looking in the book, for instance, what it's going to give you is it gives you a butt diameter. Okay, now your butt diameter is very simple.
Don't get excited.
It's
Hugh.
just the diameter of the butt end of the golf club. So
Okay.
That'd
that's
be the grip end.
which would be the grip end. That's where the grip would be installed.
Really?
You have to explain that for George.
That's
Really?
right. That's right. And then
Can we turn his mic off?
And then they give the tip diameter. Okay, now this is the tip diameter, is the diameter of the tip of the shaft where it actually inserts into the head.
Okay.
So that's your tip diameter right here.
So there are different tip diameters?
That's correct. There's quite a few. On woods, there's two primary tip diameters. You
Okay.
have a .335,
Okay.
and then you have a .350.
Okay. 335 and 350.
That's correct.
Okay. Why do I need to know that?
Well, if you are going to have your club reshafted, some people take it upon themselves to actually order the shaft and bring it to a club maker to have it assembled.
Of course.
Okay? Think they might be saving $1 or $2, whatever have you. So,
Okay.
They
All
get
right.
what they pay for.
you know, they get what they pay for, but you do get that. So what sometimes we'll have is we'll have somebody come in, you know, that has purchased a shaft that's a 335 tip, and all of a sudden they've got a 370 or a 350 hosel that we've got to install that
On their
into.
head.
So now you
Yep.
got to shim it.
So now you have to shim it. That's correct.
What'd you call me?
You
That's
have
right.
shim it.
What'd you call me?
Yep.
You heard me.
Yep.
But yeah, people do that all the time.
Okay,
And
hold
not
on,
him,
hold on.
But he's on a roll.
Would you let him? This is his show, okay?
I'm just trying to help you understand.
you
something.
brought up the word shimming, shimmer,
It's very important.
shimmet. What do you do? How do you shim a club?
He's good. He can put his headphones back. No. The shimming,
How do you shim a
shimming
club?
is very important. There's a brass shim that goes between the hosel and the shaft in the head. And what it does, it takes up the diameter
Okay.
between the 335 and the 350.
Okay, that makes sense.
So in layman's terms, it basically fills the gap and makes it fit tighter instead of it being loose in there. That's all it does. George.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Royer.
Love it.
But why would I do that? Why would I want to do that?
That's why you want to investigate, measure the tip diameter of your existing shaft, and when you order a shaft that has the correct tip diameter.
Well, I just see Al.
There you go. That's what we're here for.
Okay, let me ask the question now, Pro. If I get a 335 shaft into a 350 head and I shim it, is it going to play different?
It might a little bit, but no, not much. I mean, basically, that's just to make up the void, that you've got because
I
the tip's so
understand.
small.
Yep.
It might, if anything, it could do several. It could make it stiffer, or it could actually make it a little weaker in the tip. It just depends on the weight of the head and how it goes. I mean,
Okay.
if you have a heavy head and you buy a shaft that's that's heavy, I think it'll make it play a little stiffer. And if you go a lighter shaft, it maybe it's more of a tip flex or a lower flex point.
Right.
It could affect it that way, but basically it's just filling a void, trying to make the shaft fit because
So-
it won't stay in there if you glue it in there.
For our listeners and viewers,
Without the
then
shim.
these driver heads, they come in different sizes.
That's correct.
As far as hosels, so they need to pay attention to that in relation to the shaft that goes into that.
Yeah, and if you're trying to put
Okay.
a 350 tip into a 335, it
Head?
just won't fit.
It won't go.
It
Really?
just won't go. It's just too big.
That's square peg, round hole.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So that's pretty self.
Big hole, bigger hole. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Got
there now you can take and taper the graphite shaft and be extraordinarily careful when you do that, and take a 350 and turn it to
Whoa,
a 335.
whoa.
But I don't
Whoa.
recommend that
No,
for the
it won't
amateur.
last.
Whoa,
They
whoa.
don't last.
won't
The
last.
integrity.
So
is,
you're basically changing the diameter of the tip of that graphite shaft.
Which is
in other
going to
words,
change everything with that
you're
shaft.
sanding
Yep.
it down.
Yep,
Is
yep.
what
Oh,
you're
yeah.
doing.
Yeah, it's going to change your flex points and everything else in there too, because obviously it's bigger now. You made it weaker.
Plus, wouldn't it be weaker and be susceptible to breaking off inside the inside
yeah,
the hosel?
exactly.
I don't recommend it by no means. But it can be done.
I've
but
seen
it's
him
nasty.
do it. I've seen him do it.
Yeah.
I mean, and Al's pretty precise.
Oh, I remember
about it.
back in the day. Yeah, it was done all the time.
Yeah.
So
But it's
So-
the thing, and I'm going to give this kind of the thing for Al because I mean, like you've heard me say in the past, he's the only person I'll let touch my stuff.
Yes,
I don't do
yes,
it.
yes, I know.
He's that good. But if you go to order a shaft, make sure you know what you're getting because you may get a shaft that for cheap. But what's the torque? How does it play? I mean, you
Yeah,
go
sure.
spend money. You're going to actually end up having to buy another one because you bought a piece of junk.
And I think whether you believe it or not, we're actually going to go into that, Hugh.
Okay.
So if you
Heck
just hold on a minute.
So there you.
Thanks. Heather,
Okay, next-
Heather,
next
would you
for-
bring his pills by the
next-
studio, please? Thank you.
Next, when you get next, you start looking at in the most books. Next, they'll throw up weight. And that's just literally the static weight of the shaft.
Okay.
And they vary tremendously now. I mean, we've got graphite shafts, some in woods now, under 40 grams.
Right.
There's 39s, 38s.
Right.
I've seen some really light stuff out there, all the way up to in a wood shaft, 95 grams.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that swing in weight. So the more weight, the more stability.
So you're looking at high 30s to mid 90s for a driver.
That's correct.
In graphite.
In graphite. So there's
Okay.
that much of a swing.
And we don't really even consider steel shafts in driver heads anymore, do
No,
we?
they're
It's
gone.
not
Even
even
three
considered.
woods anymore.
Not even 3 woods yet.
Right. Okay.
So and then like when you look in the book next, it's going to give you a raw length of that club or the shaft. I'm sorry. So that lets you know how much you're working with.
Okay.
But the hosel of the club adds
Now, aren't
to that
all the
length.
shafts pretty much a standard length, and then
No, sir.
okay, all right, no,
There's some
Wrong
driver
again.
shafts that are. Well, you have two different kinds of shafts basically. You have a driver shaft like this one right here from Fujikura.
what'd you call me?
That's
Okay.
right.
Okay,
And this particular one here is not designed to be tipped very much at all. It's pretty much designed to be installed straight in. Now, when you tip a shaft, you make it firmer. Okay, so this is a one flex shaft. It's designed to be one flex. Okay, If
so
you-
it's predetermined out of the manufacturer that it's gonna swing regular or stiff, whatever,
that's correct.
and you don't mess with the length. It's already quote unquote pre-cut.
No, the tip of the club
Is already set up.
Should be, yeah, but you've got to check it because through the course of manufacturing, some shafts come out weaker, some shafts come out firmer than their
Sure.
face value.
Quality
So,
control.
Quality
That's
control.
but that's problems with graphite, though, right? Al?
Oh, yes.
I mean, graphite
Yes.
varies because you're
It
putting it
varies.
together
Oh, yeah,
with
yeah,
epoxy.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, we've learned all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gotten a lot better through the years.
Now, one thing for our listeners and viewers out, real quick, real quick, when they take it to somebody to get a shaft put into a driver head, should they not prep the tip?
Oh, most definitely.
It needs to
yeah.
be scored
Oh,
or,
yeah,
or
yeah.
sanded or whatever,
You
so
remove
the
the
glue
paint.
would.
Yeah,
you
adheres.
remove the paint. Yep.
Yeah, and cleaning the hosel out is extraordinarily important.
Okay, all right.
You know, you don't want to leave
I
a
just
bunch of
wanted to
glue.
make
Yeah.
sure that if they saw someone just taking that shaft as it comes delivered to them through the mail or wherever, painted, and it's just inserted into there, then that individual hadn't done it right.
They're going to lose
Is that
their
right?
head.
Yep. And a lot of times they actually won't even fit in the hosel until you sand them. They have so much paint on the surface of the shaft.
Oh, okay.
That it's not going to fit.
Okay.
Now there are some hosels that might be a little bit more oversized, and some shafts that have a little less paint that you might get lucky and it'll fit in there.
Okay.
But you would still have to prep and sand.
Okay.
But getting back to the second kind of shaft that's out there, this shaft right here is a multi-flex shaft. It's designed to be two different flexes, depending upon how much you tip it. Okay, so this particular shaft right here is designed to either be a ladies shaft or a senior shaft, and the difference is 55 mile an hour in club head speed versus 65 mile an hour in club head speed. So for a ladies shaft, for a driver, it wouldn't take nothing off the tip of this whatsoever
So you would adjust the height by the butt.
by cutting the butt in. Now for a senior, we would tip exactly 1 inch. By taking 1 inch off the tip of a graphite shaft, it changes it 1 flex, give or take. You know, depending upon the thickness of the walls of the shafts. There's a lot of little
Right,
variables.
right.
But as a general rule, 1 inch is 1 shaft flex.
Okay.
So this enables a club maker to stock 1 shaft that serves 2 purposes. So
Okay.
it cuts back on inventory a little bit.
Quick question. That shaft has a 65 on it. So is that a 65 gram
65
shaft?
gram, yes.
Now, if you cut it an inch, what does that do to the weight?
Well, they're classifying this as a 65 gram shaft. It could be 68 grams. It might be 62 grams. So that's just a ballpark of where that shaft's at.
Okay. All right.
Now, when you take weight, when you do cut it, you're going to lose some of that weight. But it's
Again, that's static weight as it comes out of the box.
Yep. Like say for instance, let me just double check it. It'll take 1 second here.
You're
And
taking
then,
more in a second.
Okay, maybe 3 seconds.
Okay.
But it's a static weight as it comes out the box.
Okay, so
yes,
if you cut the butt end, adjusting for length, desired length, whatever, 44 to
You'd
44
lose-
and a half to whatever, you're going to lose weight. If
That's
you
exactly
tip it,
right.
you're going to lose weight. So that shaft, 65, in theory, could be as low as 55 when you got through with it, would you say?
that's exactly right. Well,
Okay.
even a better example. I'm looking at this shaft in the book right now. Our butt diameter is a 590, so it's a little bit undersized. The tip diameter is a 335, which is what we talked about as being the most standard. The weight of it, even though it says 65, is actually 61 grams
Oh, okay.
as it stands.
Okay.
They kind of categorize them
Sure.
instead of putting the exact dead weight on them. Like they may just call it a 50. It might be a 51. It might be a 59. Depending upon how they wanted that shaft to play.
Right.
So you can't take just because the shaft says it's 65 grams,
Right.
doesn't necessarily mean that it is 65 grams on the nose.
Yeah.
So, and then by the time you cut this shaft, you're going to lose, possibly, depending upon how much you tip it, anywhere between, 10 grams,
Okay.
5 grams, 15, depending on it depends on what length you're making.
If you cut it on the tip and the butt, you could lose 15 grams.
That's correct. Depending on, especially for fairway woods, if you started getting down cutting into like 3 woods, 5 woods, and 7 woods, yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, Pro, real quick, you can speak now. Oh, man.
Nope.
Yeah, it's good stuff. 44 and a half, 45-inch drivers. The standard has been getting smaller. It had gotten long, and now it's going back to standard length. What now? 44 for a driver, 44 and a half,
45.
45.
I mean, they're still. I mean, Nike's still sending stuff out now. I think at 45 and a half that comes stock.
All right.
So,
but as a teacher, if you got someone that's do you suggest or recommend that they make it shorter? Does that do anything for the swing? Does that help the player control the club anymore?
It does,
because
especially with the girls. The girls
Okay.
that are playing like Haley and some of those. Making them a little shorter, and with basically give them an A shaft instead of a regular, and cut it down. It stiffens it up just a touch, not much, but a little bit. But it gives them better control, and the club's not so long and heavy, so it looks like it's swinging them. It actually looks like they can swing it. You can do stuff with that way. So it depends on the individual is how you do it.
But
I mean, I played at 45. We used to play them at 43 and a half back in the day.
Right.
Then they went to 44, and Daddy always played 44, and then 44 and a half, and then when they got it to 46, I was like, man, this is crazy.
Oh, I've seen shafts 50 inches.
Yeah.
So
well, 48's the most you can use in an actual event.
Tournament.
Yeah. So it's preference, George, really, and it's on the person's height.
Now,
whatever.
you recommended it like for ladies, females, young girls, but also too, wouldn't seniors benefit from that?
Oh, absolutely they would, because I mean that way it allows them to use their body more and not try to do everything with their hands because the club's so heavy.
Right.
So long. So it
Okay.
would help them tremendously with that.
Okay. All right. Good. And then, of course, if you're a young player, really strong and aggressive or whatever, then the length is just a matter of what you want to feel at impact and control and things of that sort.
Yeah.
So
I mean, everybody's so concerned nowadays with how far they hit the thing instead of the control, which basically aggravates me and blows my mind.
Me too.
Well,
I'm watching this thing right
too.
here, and I mean, you miss a fairway there, you're not going in there.
I did a fitting a couple weeks ago, Al, and for a very accomplished player, has won a couple of events, really good player. And interestingly, when we got to the driver, he desired a shorter driver length. Mm-hmm. He wanted to lower it as much as a half inch.
Yes.
And the reason for it is he said he felt like he could, as you said, he could control flight better.
Yes, sir.
And he could control the reflection or deflection or however you want to put it. He had evidently gotten to the point that he had been gripping down to gain more control of the club head at impact. Mm-hmm. So we put him in a shorter shaft, same brand, same flex, but shorter. And it had tipped up the flex, as you mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And he actually picked up 2 miles per hour in club head speed just by going to a shorter shaft.
Yeah, because it's not so delayed.
Yep.
The length
Exactly.
and all that. And again, you're talking about the deflection. I mean, that's just a big thing in shafts, and that's why the quality of the shaft is so important, because you look at golf clubs and how big the heads are, and even look at the irons and the way they've been designed nowadays. They toe deflect down so much. The shaft, everybody thinks the shaft bends this way. It bends that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that people see the picture of it and they go, well, that's not right. If something's wrong, no, that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it's all based off
Toe
the
down.
weight in that club, and it deflects down. So, the better quality shaft you have, the less of that you get.
Right.
So
Right.
that's what people need to understand. You may have to pay for it, but at least you're getting what you pay for.
Well, people have asked, and Al, it's obvious we're going to have to do 2 shows on this subject matter. But
Yes, sir.
I've had people ask me, why is this shaft, this amount of money and this shaft
Yeah,
$10?
That comes in the winding of the shaft.
Right.
How intricate and what kind of weaving and what kind of materials that they're
we've-
using inside
and
the
we've
shaft.
learned through shows of yours in the past that not all graphite shafts are all graphite.
That's correct.
You've
That's
got
correct.
multiple
Oh, yeah,
materials in these things.
It's opened up. Yeah, look, the recoil has metal in it.
Mm-hmm.
The steel fiber Aerotech, it has metal in it. they're integrating a lot of materials now
Right.
that before was just never done.
Yeah.
It's the difference, George, between driving a Yugo or driving a Mercedes. You know,
Sure.
Yep.
I mean, you're going to get something that's quality and it's going to last and going to perform, or you're going to get something that may work for a little bit and poof.
We've
there it
talked
goes.
about butt diameter, tip
Yep.
diameter. We've talked a little bit
Yep.
about flex. And grab one of those shafts real quick.
Sure.
And when I say I've got a regular flex, I've got a medium flex, which is now a new thing, like
Mid kick point.
Like
Yep.
case in point, TaylorMade has now come out with the M Flex. M.
They've had that for a while
And
now. Yeah.
so,
which is almost like a senior, but they are
Exactly.
it's a soft regular.
but would you explain by
Sure.
showing the shaft where
Sure.
these flexes normally
You got
come
it.
into play? And
Well, what I done was
What
I
it
tried to
means.
bring us an example of the three most common types. Now, this particular shaft right here, and it says right on the shaft that it has a low kick point. Okay. Now, actually, a low kick point is for high trajectory, and a high kick point is for low trajectory.
Okay.
So it's kind of a little confusing because it's the exact opposite of what it's supposed to be. And then what I've also done is I've put a little blue mark right here on this shaft. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a head, I'm going to put it on the shaft, and I'm just going to put it under a light load. And you can see it starts bending right where I've got that piece of tape at, which is in this area. Okay, so this one right here has a soft tip. So this area right in here is more active. Okay, now when you get into a mid kick point, which I've brought, hold still. Here we go. This is the same shaft, but if you look on the shaft, it actually says mid kick point versus the first one that we looked at, which said low kick point.
okay.
Okay, so when I put this one in and do the same thing and load it, notice this area through here is more firmer. So this one's actually not bending until it gets past this point. So this section right here is a lot more rigid, and what that does is that keeps the ball flight down a little bit more than the previous shaft that we looked at. So this is what we call a mid kick, mid bend, and I brought another mid kick, mid bend. This one's a Fujikura, and you can see I put the mark on this one right here, and then as soon as we load it, okay, now here's the exact opposite. This one right here has a very firm tip to it. This is a UST, and up here is where you want to kind of look at, because this whole section down through here is going to be pretty rigid and pretty stout. So
Wow. Yeah, that's obvious.
So that's the difference. So that's what I wanted to.
Hold up. Put that shaft back in the head
Yes,
for me,
sir.
please.
You got it.
So that's basically the highest quote unquote bend
Yeah.
kick that we're going to see. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
You got it.
Just to hit it low.
Don't give yourself a heart
Yeah.
attack. Hold on. Don't remove that.
Let me ask a question
Sure.
while you're right there, if I can. So the
Yes,
kick
sir.
point, the higher kick point's further up the shaft toward the butt than the low kick point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the kick point on the butt section does play a role,
Yep.
but the tip section really is where it comes in at.
But I'm just talking about the location of the kick point.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
And then what I'll
actually it's up here. The actual kick point in a shaft happens in about that area right there,
Okay.
Yep.
and it determines how this reacts here. Everybody thinks a low kick point. It bends here,
Mm-hmm.
but the actual control of the flex point is there, and it's
Huh.
about like that.
Do me a favor, Al. I want.
Yeah, here's the difference.
Let's go back to the visual aspects
Sure.
of this.
Hold on. He's going to compare
got it.
the three of them.
See,
That's
there's-
what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this would be
That's right.
this one's a soft tip, the one on top.
Yep.
The one in the medium, the one in the middle is a medium tip, and the one on the bottom has a firm tip. So that's your difference. You know, right in that neck of the woods, right there. Boom, boom, and boom.
Yep.
Okay. So if I bring a shaft to you, Al, at Possum Trot there, and you take it into the trailer, you can check this. And how do you just load it into a static head and bend it yourself, or is that how you check it? Or
Yes. Well, a lot of the shafts I just know, from doing this for years and years and years.
but my question is if I'm as an amateur, I go and let's say that my next door neighbor has a shaft that I really like, and he takes it out of his club and gives it to me.
Yes.
I'm not quite sure where the bend point is. How do I check that? Or
It's best to let a professional do it.
Uh-huh.
The reason being is a lot of times when you put flex, on the shafts or load them like I did, if you're not careful, you're going to break them. especially on some of this ultralight stuff that's out there. It's not designed to put the shaft that I really loaded hard. That's a big boy shaft. It weighs 87 grams. The walls are thick. I know I can lean on that shaft. Now, if that had been a 50 gram, 40 gram graphite shaft, I could have very well snapped that thing.
No,
Right.
So,
can I ask another question?
yes, sir.
Because I think this is really interesting to me. Because on my driver, it's a Nike. I got that Nike driver, last year's model,
Yes.
and it says stiff shaft on it.
Right.
But when I swing it, people are always saying, "Man, that shaft bends like crazy. You need a stiffer shaft." But I still hit the ball really low. So with me, what does that mean? I need a shaft probably with a lower kick point to get the ball up, because I
Yep.
need to get the ball up some more.
What loft are you playing it at?
I'm playing at 11.5.
Yeah, then you would
You
definitely.
need a weaker tip. Yeah.
Yep, softer tip.
Yeah.
Lower kick point.
I'd take
Yep.
3 lessons, 2 weeks off, and quit.
Can't
Make
beat
sure
it.
I pay for the lessons first, right?
That's right.
That's right.
I need to pay those in advance.
That's it.
Al, we got a lot more to
Yep.
talk about, but I need to take a break here. But
Sure.
what I'd like to do is go ahead and wrap up this, and then we'll come back and do another segment and finish this up.
Sounds great.
Is that good with you?
That sounds awesome.
All right, not a problem, dude. Hey, keep your headphones on. I may need you. Okay.
Good luck with that one.
TGD Radio and TV are produced and broadcast by the Zeus Radio Network for thegolfdirector.com. When visiting the Golf Director, be sure to check our featured course pages, where you'll find up-to-date information about course condition specials and much more. Hey, if you need help with a golf vacation, just call Dave. Hashtag just call Dave. Give us a call, 844-GO-GOLF1, 844-464-6531. All of our TGD programming is archived for listening and viewing on demand. To catch up on any show you may have missed, you can click on the TGD Radio or the TGD TV tabs at the menu screen at thegolfdirector.com. We're now available on over 1 billion devices at iTunes, Audio Realm, TuneIn, YouTube, Ustream, Roku, Blueberry, and Myrtle Beach Golf app. This is George Honeycutt for Dr. Grind, Al Cloyd, and HR3. We want to thank you for tuning in. There's more golf news and information coming up next.